get on, do a quick blog. Got a lot of good topics that I want to talk about. Been getting a lot of feedback on the new painting I just did, the new episode that I dropped a couple of days, couple of weeks, maybe a week or two ago. Just really wanted to like appreciate all the feedback. A lot of emails been coming in about my painting, about some of the stories that I've been telling about WBC. Really got, like I said, this is like the first episode. It's gonna be like maybe a good 4 or 5 episodes. So I got a lot of content based around this painting. Before we get into the topic, I would like to just appreciate all the people that, like I said, been supporting my brand, buying my books off Amazon and Lulu.com. If you haven't supported my books, just look on my links in my posts. A lot of my videos, in the back of the videos, they have where you can, the name of the comic books based around WBC and my life story. I want to kind of answer some of the questions about some of the questions I've been getting about the painting and the Islamic subject about this episode and about the painting. Because in the painting, I had 2 paintings. So in the first painting, it was like the first attempt to create this painting about my life and about Islam. So my first attempt was like in 2000, and it was like 5, 6 years ago. And I stopped working on it during the pandemic. So like I said, maybe 4 months ago, I started creating another painting, and it took me three months to paint it. And it came out very good. It's really amazing. I got a lot of good feedback from the painting. Um, so I want to kind of like break down, like, because a lot of people have been asking me about Islam. How did I get introduced with Islam? When was I born a Muslim? What did I come from a Muslim family and things like that? Um, to answer that question, I became Muslim in the early '90s. My first interaction with a Muslim, it was I was, like I said, it was on Winchester and Millbranch in these projects called the Windsors. I ran into like a mailman, and he was very sharp speaking, and very intelligent, and he was very accurate with knowledge, and he was from the Nation of Islam. And from there, I never seen him again or nothing like that. But as I could, I think at the time I probably was like, I think like 11 or 12, somewhere in that area. I just can't really remember, but that was back then when I was considered. I was in the streets, running the streets, going stealing out of stores, breaking into houses and things like that. But from that conversation that I had with him, it kind of like planted a seed, a very small seed, to help me understand the difference between street knowledge and a spiritual or a religious knowledge. And in saying that, um, I I was in and out of group homes, in and out of jail facilities and things like that, right? So when I was incarcerated, like I think I was incarcerated around maybe I think 12, 13. I was in this place, and it was Muslim. It was like a group home slash like rehab, because I had got sent way up in the mountains in Memphis, Tennessee. It was a big old juvenile facility called Wilders. It was way up in Somerville, way up in the mountains, and I was up there for like I think maybe a month. But they were saying in the program, like, if you play like you had a drug problem, they'll send you back to Memphis, because I'd never been away from Memphis. So when they sent me way to Wilder, I didn't want to be there. It was a big old juvenile facility where all the rough juveniles was at, and a lot of fighting, a lot of it was just where a lot of the worst juveniles. And like I said, I was there. I didn't like it, you know. And like I said, I wanted to go back to Memphis. So I told one of the, I think, caseworkers or resource workers that I had a drug problem and that I needed rehab. So they sent me back to Memphis to this, like it was, like I said, it was a juvenile slash rehab facility. And I think my first day there, I was there for like 2 days. The second day, I remember being up because the building had like 4 floors. So I was like on maybe the second floor, that like for like the new people to be in. And I remember laying in my bed. And I remember it was a juvenile. He was breaking the window. He was trying to escape, right? So, long story short, so when I see him trying to get out the window, trying to break out, I said I'm going with him. So I tried to attempt to go out, get out the window too, and we got caught, and both of us ended up in juvenile, right? So now I'm in juvenile. Now, mind you, I lied to the caseworker to get back to Memphis. So once I got back to Memphis in the group home, I tried to escape. So now I'm back in the juvenile facility, um, in the juvenile detention center. Now I had to see the judge. And long story short, they gave me a second chance to go back to the rehab. So I'm in the rehab, and this is where I met maybe 2 Nation of Islam men that they worked there. So that's where I began to pick up on the knowledge of Islam. And picking up on the knowledge of Islam there, like I said, I always was one of those type of juveniles or youth that wanted to know knowledge. You know, even though I was a bad kid in the streets, robbing, stealing, breaking into houses, doing all types of things, I always had a touch or the eye or the vision to want to learn knowledge. And because I always liked it, knowledge, learning new things to change my perception. So in saying that, that's where I kind of like fed off their knowledge of Islam. And like I said, I stayed in that facility maybe 2 years. Once I graduated from the program, I went back to the streets. But I still had the seed of Islam in me, right? So now I'm like maybe 16 years old. I'm out in the world. When I first got out, I was sticking to the knowledge, the code of learning Islam, but I slowly but surely went back to the streets selling drugs and hustling, but I would get in and out of jails. You know, I would continue to go in and get locked up and stuff. So every time I got locked up, right, I would go in and out of jails. So I would see, by this time I turned like 17, 18, I got bound over to the big jail system, right? So now I'm in the big jails, right? So in the big jails, you have Sunni Muslims, right? Even though there was Nation of Islam Muslims in prison, or in the jails, right? The Nation of Islam at that time, back in the early 90s, I never seen the nation, not saying they never practiced making salats, right? But from my knowledge of learning from the people that I seen Islam, I never seen or heard them talking about making 5 daily salats, right? So when I went to jail, to the big jail, now I'm no longer a juvenile. So now I'm in the big jail, right? So now I see Muslims making salat. And that was, like I told you, I always had the brain or the mind to want to gravitate to Islam. So when I seen these brothers making salat, and I'm like, man, well, what kind of Muslim he is? You know, because I've been studying and listening to Islam. So I'm like, why is he making a salat? What's the difference? So once I began to be around the Sunni Muslims, I began to feed off their knowledge and learn, because it's true, like I said, and there's a lot of different, you got different types of Muslims. You got Shiite Muslims, You got some Masons that's Muslims. You got Sunni. You got the black Muslim, the Nation of Islam. You got so what the point I'm trying to make is this. See, because even in Christianity, even in other religions, there's always different sets of Muslims or Jews or Christians or Catholic. You know, see, I want the truth. So as I continue to read and study for myself, because see, one thing I learned as being a Muslim is I know that there is one God, right? And I also know that in the Quran that says that there will be many Muslims that claim their own way, or they're gonna split into different sections. But there is only one straight path. Just like you have a lot of religions that read from the Bible, but they have different beliefs. You see what I'm saying? You have Shia, you have Israelites, you have Christians, you have Baptists, you have I know you have a lot of different religions that read from the Bible, but they all believe differently. Same way as I'm saying as a person that studied the Quran. See, one thing I learned is, like I said, there's only one straight path when you're being a Muslim. And I feel as though me learning Islam, I studied Quran and I strive to live by the Quran according to what it says. And saying that, a lot of time, because like I said, I used to go to the Nation of Islam. I went to both. I went to the Sunni and the Nation. And I remember going to the Sunni mosque and the Nation. And I remember Muslims in the Sunni mosque said, don't go to the Nation of Islam because they're not real Muslims. Now, me being studying and the seed was planted in me years ago, the message, the Islamic message came to me as a little child, right? It came through the Nation. See, I understand that the way the Nation of Islam teach Islam, and I understand the way Sunni teach. See, I'll never say don't go to the Nation of Islam. They're not real Muslims. It's not in me to say that, because, like I said, sometimes you never know how the Creator will guide you, and you never know how the Creator will touch and guide you to the straight path. So in saying that, just like a lot of Muslims say Shiites are terrorists, you know what I'm saying? They think that you have some extreme Muslims that will, like I said, you see Muslims that will blow up places. You see Muslims that will commit suicide and things like that. And by me studying the Quran, I know that I understand how you can be, because you, being a Muslim, you are told to fight in the cause of Allah, even if it costs you your life, you know. But sometimes you can take wisdom and use it for the worse or for the bad. So you have to be very careful with studying the Quran. And the reason why I'm saying this statement to anyone that believe in their beliefs of whatever religion you believe in, it's good for you to study Islam or study the Christian Bible or the Torah or Buddha, whatever you decide to choose as your guide to help you cope with life of God or the Creator. Make sure you study and read for yourself. And because that way you can be able to understand the truth from the false. And so in saying that, I've been Muslim a long time. See, I was a Muslim now it's like the era we live in now, it's like more of a fashion. People like to dress like Muslims. They like to just say they Muslim because, it's like a trend. See, I was Muslim when people laughed at me when I said I don't eat pork. people laughed at me when I said I believe in Allah, and I don't believe that certain things that what I grew up on. Cause see, where I come from a Christian society. I come from a Christian environment, family, where they believe in what they believe. See, what I believe in Islam. Islam saved my life. Islam uh, changed my perception of life. You know, Islam was the thing. Like still to this day, I read the Quran every day. I study the Quran every day. I never stop reading the Quran. See, the Quran helps me cope with life. Help me understand that, and it's not easy. I'm gonna say this too. It's not being easy being a Muslim. Making 5 daily salats a day, reading and studying the Quran, not doing what your Lord desires wants you to do. You know, like my old behaviors, doing the things that I love to do. You know, like because I grew up in the streets. You know, it's certain things you're not allowed to do. You know, and then sometimes it can get challenging. It can be very challenging to you can't do what everybody else do. So in saying that, I just want to kind of like break down, you know, like the painting. So the painting has a section in the painting that I painted of Islam, and I wanted to like I said, the painted movie. If y'all haven't checked out the episodes, y'all go and check out the painted movie. It kind of like I said, the first episode is really like kind of breaking the ice on what the painting is about. So I'm kind of like really kind of giving you all an intro of why I created the painting, right? So, like I said, as I go on, you all will see the different sections or the different experiences I had on creating this painting about my life story. And let me see. So far as like the rest of the painting, like I said, it's based around Islam. It's based around like my life in the streets, selling drugs and hustling in the streets and having the faith of Islam. Because see, even when I was in the streets hustling, I still believed in the Quran. I still believed in Islam. I was caught up in a lifestyle because I grew up like that. I grew up, see, and one thing I learned, like, whatever environment you grew up in, even your family, whatever they believed, you take on their belief system. You take on their the ways of life. You know, you go outside, whatever friends you hang around, whoever you choose to be your friends, you all have the same belief system. See, I hung around drug dealers and robbers and people who stole cars. So if they stole cars, I stole cars. If they sold drugs, I sold drugs. If they went in the stores and boosted, I used to go in stores and take clothes. Back then it was like what was it? Back in the early 90s, it was like let me see, it was like Fila's and damaged jeans and what else? Used jeans, Levi's and Guess. So all that type and Jabot jeans. See, that stuff was the fashion back then. So we used to go in stores and snatch and rob and take clothes and steal, you know what I'm saying? So to have Islam in my life, see, it was hard to break those habits. But slowly as time, like a centipede, right? Yeah, it's a centipede that turned into a butterfly. Is that right? A caterpillar. I mean, that's what I mean. I said a centipede. A caterpillar, right? That turns into a butterfly. See, my years of experience in life, I was like the caterpillar. And slowly but surely, by me studying and seeking knowledge, I turned into a butterfly where I no longer practice those behaviors. I never sell someone drugs. I never go in a store, steal, take clothes, because I don't worship clothes no more. I don't worship clothes. Clothes don't make me. You know, I'm me from who I am. I don't have to put on a $300 shirt to feel good about myself or have confidence. That I lost that desire a long time ago, very long time ago. I like worshiping material things like that. I've been lost that desire. Like I'm gonna give you an example of what I'm saying. Just a week ago, I forget the name of those watches, but they had like watches. It was going all over the social media about these colorful watches where people were standing in line. They used to be $50,000, and then they brung them down to like I think I don't know the price of $50 or something. But they was watches where people were standing in line, kept outside for the next day just to get a watch. So what I'm trying to get you to understand is this. To be that distracted from life of a watch, just look at that, a watch. You that distracted from a watch. A watch got you so caught up in life that you willing to sleep overnight because of a watch. To camp outside to be able to purchase a watch. See, Islam took me away from that. That's not my priority of life. So, like I said, growing up in the streets and and having the system of the beliefs of a Muslim, it was a slow process to get me to be able to change my life to see the beauty of life. I come from where people tote guns, man, every day, want to shoot somebody, want to kill somebody. You know, to be a Muslim is not an easy task. It's very, it's one of those very structured ways of life, So in saying that, like I said, I just want to kind of like give y'all a quick blog on some of the episodes, some of the clips that I've been dropping about the painting. What else? Even far as the like I said, the rest of the painting, like I said, I got a lot of content for to break down the different sections of the painting. It's like I said, it's the era of me growing up in Winchester and Millbranch, the area where I hustled and sold drugs. So I'm excited to give you all that content. And another update, I'm still working behind the scenes with creating new books, still working on the scene, creating new paintings. Because like I said, the goal is to put much content out as possible about my life, to have a blueprint for the people that's lost in the streets, that striving or need or may not know a way out. See, one thing I learned about living my life, right? Everybody ain't gonna hear the message. See, some people have to suffer like I suffer. Cause see, back when I was young, I was a very rebellious kid, man. I was very rebellious, very caught up in the life of the streets, man. Selling drugs, riding nice cars, fly clothes, nice clothes, jewelry. Used to have gold all top and bottom, gold. The dope boy look. I was so caught up, I couldn't hear the message. I couldn't hear Islam. I was caught up with the material world. But once I got shot, see, I got shot in my head, right? Got shot in my head. I got glass eye, blind on one side. See, once I got shot and I lost my eye, see, I had to suffer. I had to feel the pain to hear. See, I needed to hear the message. See, when I got shot, I remember being in the hospital, coming home, the reality set in. And at the time, I didn't have a Quran. I hadn't been to the mosque. Because when I got shot, see, I was up. I was up in like money. Everything I wanted, I had it. When I got shot, I remember ordering the Quran. And the Quran came in the mail, and I got it and opened it up. And I began to read. See, when I was caught up in the lifestyle of selling drugs and hustling, I couldn't hear the message. I couldn't hear it. I wanted to hear it, but I couldn't hear it. I couldn't hear it clear enough to make me want to change my ways. See, everybody, I'm going to say this and I'm going to kind of end with this. No matter what religion you believe in, what walks of life you live in, whatever background you came from, no matter where you came from in walks of life, there's going to come a time where you're going to have to change your ways. You're going to have to look, I'm talking about ain't no friends going to be around, family members going to be around. It's going to be just you and the Creator. And you're going to have to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what do I need to do to get better with my life? See, I learned a long time ago that the things or the belief system that I had in the streets, it was all an illusion. The things that I was seeking and chasing in my life, it was a fantasy world. It didn't even matter. See, now I'm 50. When I was 20, I couldn't see this. See, I'm 50. See this gray hair? I'm 50. See, you don't get this. This ain't even gray. It's white. See, you don't get white like this. This is a lot of wisdom. In saying this, if you ain't heard nothing else I said in this video, hear this. There's gonna come a time where there's gonna be nobody but you and the Creator. And sometimes you're gonna feel like the Creator ain't even there. But at some point in your life, you're gonna have to tap in, whatever you believe in, to change your ways. Because the things that you thought was valuable in your life, they're no longer gonna be valuable. With that, thank y'all for coming back to my Graffiti University Comics Art School page. We got a lot of more content, a lot of more experiences and paintings and drawings and books to continue to put out into the world, hoping to reach the youth, reach the young adults, reach the old adults, anybody I feel as though they need help. I feel as though I have experiences of life, from the street life, from the prison life, from the rehab life, on how to be able to find peace in life. So thank y'all for coming. Share, support, subscribe. If you haven't checked out none of my books are available at lulu.com and amazon.com. You can check them out. All of my links, all my social media platforms, Graffiti University Comic, North Park Comic Books on Instagram, Facebook, One Eye Television. They have the links of my books in their posts. With that, thank y'all. See y'all next time. Wow.